Gentlemen, there is one specific spot on a woman's body that straight up exposes everything she's actually feeling. And the second she lets you anywhere near it, her walls are already coming down. I'm not here to sell you some cheap pickup artist garbage or recycled alpha male nonsense. What I'm about to break down for you today is the kind of raw, real psychological truth that most men will never, ever figure out on their own. And it is going to completely rewire the way you read women forever. So lock in, because this one hits different. Here's what nobody's telling you. Attraction is not a conversation. It's not the words she says. It's not even the smile she gives you. Attraction is a full-body broadcast that's happening in real time every single moment you're around her. And most guys, they're walking around completely blind to it. Not because they're dumb, but because the world never handed them the decoder. Today, I'm giving you that decoder. And trust me, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let me hit you with something real quick. Have you ever left an interaction with a woman feeling like, yo, I think that went well, but you still had that gnawing uncertainty in your gut? Or maybe the opposite. She was sweet, she was polite, but something felt just slightly off. That confusion you carried home with you, that wasn't a you problem. That was a signal problem. You were surrounded by answers the entire time and didn't know what language they were written in. And today we fix that. Here's the truth most people aren't bold enough to say out loud. Attraction is almost never spoken. It is always expressed physically. Not in the dramatic, over-the-top way you might think. Not in obvious flirting or exaggerated body language. We're talking subtle, instinctive, operating completely below the surface of conscious thought. A woman's body is responding to your presence constantly, and those responses are 1,000 times more honest than anything she could ever put into words. What we're going into today is that invisible layer, the one that separates the men who spend their whole lives guessing from the men who finally just know. When a woman permits certain kinds of touch, she is not just being friendly or going along with the moment. Her entire nervous system is running a live evaluation. It's processing questions like, does this man make me feel safe? Does his energy calm me, or does it put me on edge? Is there something real here, or is this performance? And her body answers those questions instantly, without hesitation, without filter. This is why two men can make the exact same move. Reach for her hand, touch her shoulder, step into her space, and get completely opposite reactions. One feels like a natural extension of the moment, the other feels like an intrusion. The move didn't change, the emotional energy behind it did, and that is where 90% of men get it completely wrong. They obsess over what to do while completely missing the point of what she feels. Picture this. You're sitting next to her at a rooftop bar, a coffee shop, doesn't matter. Conversation is easy, there's a little electricity in the air, things feel light. You make a point and lightly graze her arm while you're talking. Now freeze that moment, because what happens in the next 3 seconds matters more than anything you said in the past 20 minutes. Does she subtly angle her body toward you? Does she keep the conversation flowing without skipping a beat, completely unbothered? Does her body stay open and relaxed, or does she stiffen up even slightly, create a little extra space, shift her posture away from you? Most guys blow right past this moment, but this moment is everything. Her reaction isn't calculated, it isn't rehearsed, it's pure instinct, and instinct does not lie. Now here's where it gets fascinating. And this is grounded in real science, not theory. Research has confirmed that human beings can accurately identify emotional states like affection, tension, safety, or discomfort purely through physical contact, 0 words involved. And women are wired to be exceptionally sensitive to this. A woman's nervous system is always scanning for emotional safety. It's not a choice she makes, it just runs in the background like software. So when you touch her, she isn't just registering the physical contact. She is reading your confidence, your groundedness, your intention, your authenticity, all of it, all at once. If you are tense, if you're trying too hard, if you are seeking validation, she feels that energy crawling through your fingertips. If you are calm, present, genuinely unbothered, she feels that too. And that is exactly why attraction cannot be faked. It is felt at a level far deeper than words can reach. Now, I want to walk you through what I call emotional zones, because this is where the whole picture starts to come into sharp focus. Think of a woman's body not as physical real estate, but as layers of trust. Every area represents a different level of emotional access. And every time you naturally move from one layer to the next, you aren't just getting physically closer. You are moving deeper into her sense of comfort, safety, and genuine connection with you. The outer layer, arms and shoulders. This is where almost every interaction begins. A light touch on the forearm, a casual tap on the shoulder. These are socially neutral moves, and they don't carry massive weight on their own. If she's cool with this, it doesn't automatically mean she's head over heels. It means she's comfortable enough not to pull back. But even here, there is data. Is her posture open or slightly closed off? Is her body angled toward you like she's drawn in, or away like she's keeping a door open to exit? Is the eye contact there, or is she already mentally stepping back? These are micro signals, and they matter more than any line you could deliver. Because at this stage, she isn't yet deciding if she wants you. She's deciding if she feels okay around you. And that foundation, that's everything. Now we move into the next layer, hands and wrists. And this is where the energy starts to shift. Holding someone's hand is not just physical. It's symbolic. It signals presence, connection, a willingness to exist in a moment together. When she lets you hold her hand, even briefly, she is extending emotional access, not just physical. But the wrist, that's where it gets genuinely interesting. The wrist is sensitive. It's vulnerable territory. It's not a place people casually open up to someone unless a real degree of comfort has already been established. So if she's relaxed when you make contact there, if she doesn't flinch, doesn't retreat, if she even slightly leans into the moment, that's her guard beginning to lower. Not all the way down, but noticeably. And here's what I really need you to hear. This is not about rushing through levels like checkboxes. It's about recognizing whether she is inviting you forward. Because when the timing is right and the trust is real, it doesn't feel like progression. It feels like gravity, natural, effortless, inevitable. And hey, real quick, if you're watching this and this is already changing the way you're thinking about attraction, do me a favor and smash that subscribe button right now, because what's coming in the next section is where everything we've built clicks into place. And you do not want to be the guy who missed it. Now let's go deeper, because this is where things get serious. We're moving into a zone most men completely misread, not out of carelessness, but because they've been conditioned to see attraction as this linear, step-by-step process. But real attraction isn't linear. It's layered, emotional, and deeply instinctive. The waist and lower back. I call this the instinctive test zone. Here's why it carries so much weight. This is one of the first areas where a woman cannot fully see your movement. When you place your hand lightly on her lower back, guiding her through a door, or when you're standing close and there's subtle contact at her waist, her response is almost entirely subconscious. She doesn't have time to think through it. She just feels it. And in that split second, her body is answering exactly one question. Do I feel safe with this man being this close to me without full visibility or control? If she stiffens, repositions herself, or creates distance, that is not rejection. That's information. Her system is saying, not yet. But if she stays soft, if she leans even slightly into your presence, if there is no resistance, that is trust beginning to form on a deeper level than anything surface conversation could build. And I need to be direct about something here. This has nothing to do with dominance or asserting control. This is entirely about how your presence feels when you enter her space. A man who is grounded, calm, and genuinely present can place his hand on a woman's lower back and it feels natural, even comforting. A man who is uncertain, performance-driven, or seeking validation can do the exact same thing, and it feels invasive. Same action, completely different emotional impact, and women feel that difference the second it happens. There was a story a woman shared about 2 different dates. First guy. Looked incredible on paper, well put together, saying all the right things. But when he touched her lower back walking into the restaurant, she felt this subtle, unexplainable tension. Couldn't rationalize it. Her body just didn't relax. Second guy. Less polish, less performance. He did the exact same gesture. She didn't even register it consciously. Her body stayed soft. She felt at ease. And later she said, with one, I felt handled. With the other, I felt safe. That right there is the entire lesson. Now we move to the most sacred territory of all, the neck and the face. The neck is biologically one of the most vulnerable parts of the human body. It guards your pulse, your breath, your life. When someone allows access there, that is not casual comfort. That is deep instinctual trust. And the face is identity itself. It's how we present ourselves to the world, where our emotions are the most visible and the most carefully guarded. So if a woman allows you to touch her face, brush something away, hold her gently there, you are no longer in a casual interaction. You are in emotional proximity. You've crossed into territory that cannot be faked, cannot be forced, and cannot be rushed. But here's the nuance. It's not just whether the touch happens, it's how she receives it. Does she soften? Does her eye contact deepen? Does she pause like the moment just slowed down? Or does she pull back even subtly? Because again, her body will tell you the truth long before her words ever will. You're starting to see the pattern now, aren't you? Each level we move through isn't about increasing physical contact, it's about increasing emotional permission. And that permission cannot be manufactured. It cannot be engineered. It has to be genuinely felt by her. And here's the thing I really want you to sit with. A woman doesn't open up because of what you do. She opens up because of how she feels in your presence. That's why some guys can run every technique they've memorized and still feel like nothing's working, while other men seem to effortlessly move through every single one of these levels without trying. It is not technique, it is presence. Now we arrive at the final level, the one that quietly reveals everything, and I mean everything. Her hair, I know, you were expecting something more dramatic, but that's exactly why this signal gets overlooked and exactly why the men who understand it have a massive advantage over everyone else. A woman's hair is not just physical. It is deeply tied to her identity, her femininity, her sense of self-expression, her sense of control. She touches it when she's nervous. She plays with it when she's attracted. She fixes it when she wants to feel more composed. It is one of the most constantly managed, touched, and protected parts of her entire being. So when a woman allows someone else into that space, that is not random, that is deeply revealing. But here's where nuance matters more than ever. It's not about you reaching for her hair, it's about her allowing it. And more importantly, how she responds in that exact moment. Because this is not a decision she consciously makes. This is her nervous system speaking in its clearest, most unfiltered voice. If your hand moves naturally, maybe brushing a strand away from her face, and she leans into it even slightly, if her head tilts just a little without her thinking, if her eyes go soft or close for just a brief second, if there's a small unfiltered smile that appears without effort, that is not performance. That is not politeness. That is a full body response. That is emotional safety and physical comfort aligning at the exact same time. And when those two things collide, something powerful happens. Her guard drops without her ever consciously deciding to drop it. Now let me be completely clear, because this is where information like this gets misused. This is not a move. This is not something you strategically engineer. The moment it becomes forced, the moment the intention behind it is outcome-driven rather than genuine, she will feel it instantly. Remember, women don't just feel the touch, they feel the intention behind the touch. But when it happens naturally, when the connection has already been built and your presence has already been established as safe and grounded, that moment doesn't feel like escalation. It feels like a continuation. And that is the difference between attraction that flows effortlessly and attraction that collapses under its own pressure. Here's how to bring all of this back to your real life in a practical way. Stop obsessing over outcomes. Stop running the mental loop of how do I get her to like me or what's my next move. Replace all of that with one single question. How does she feel in my presence right now? Because if the honest answer is relaxed, open, at ease, you are already moving in the right direction without doing a single extra thing. And if the answer is tense, uncertain, or distant, no technique in the world is going to override that gap. This is where emotional intelligence becomes your biggest unfair advantage. Not in an obsessive, hyper-analytical way, but in a grounded, aware, present way. Feel the interaction instead of just performing it. Let moments breathe. Don't fill every silence. Notice the subtle shifts, because real attraction lives in those small, quiet spaces, not in the loud and the obvious. What if the entire goal was never to win her over, but to simply become someone in whose presence she naturally wants to move closer? What if instead of chasing signals, you became someone who understands them, responds to them genuinely, and creates a space where they appear without being summoned? That is where real connection begins, and that is what almost nobody ever figures out. If this hit different for you today, if you're walking away from this with a new lens on attraction and human connection, drop a comment below right now. Tell me one real moment where someone's presence either made you feel instantly at ease or instantly uneasy. I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you need to do that right now. Because we go deeper into the psychology of attraction, connection, and human behavior every single week. And this community is just getting started. The truth is straightforward. Touch is not strategy. It's not control. It's not a game. It's a conversation that happens entirely without words. Every gesture, every reaction, every micro shift in her body is telling you a story about trust, safety, and emotional alignment. And when you finally learn to read that story, Mama, not force it, not manipulate it, but genuinely understand it, you stop guessing, you stop overthinking, you stop trying to be a version of yourself built for performance, and you start connecting in a way that feels real, lasting, and effortless for both of you. Because that's what this was always really about.